Chris Newman, Truth or Consequences. Today we're going to jump into the deep end. Oh, what is it? The failure of feminism. The failure of feminism. I'm selecting just one example and we're going to take it all the way through. Most people agree that Kate Millet, who wrote a book called Sexual Politics in 1970, is pretty much a representative of hardcore feminism, we'll call it that. Millet wrote for an audience of women. Before I do a rundown on her key concept, we'll just understand a bit about her background. She hated her father. She was an ex-Catholic. She was promiscuous and mentally unstable, and she multiplied her problem by getting other people involved in all her issues. Apparently she would sleep with anyone at any meeting that she attended, and this was recorded over many years, decades. So she's an example of a satanic type of person because she's opposed to family life, opposed to normal morality, opposed to happy human relations. We have done previous presentations on truth, and I think we would say that Millet was lacking integrity. I want to do a rundown right now on Millet's most famous progression, we'll call it. She would gather women into a room and then she would want to express to them her idea. She said, "Why are we here?" And the woman would say, "To make revolution." And then Kate Millet would come back with cultural revolution. And she'd say, "What's the purpose?" "To destroy the American family." And what's the target? Oh, to destroy the American patriarch. For those of you not in the know, patriarch means the fathers take responsibility for the family. The patriarch. They protect the family. So how do we destroy the patriarch? Oh, we take away his power. How do we do that? Destroy monogamy. Monogamy means a faithful husband and wife relationship. How do we destroy monogamy? Well, Millet says we promote promiscuity. For those of you who don't know what that means, it means multiple sex partners with no responsibility or care. Eroticism, which is a constant emphasizing of sexual material and sexual interests. Prostitution, which of course is commercializing sex. And homosexuality, which is very interesting, that homosexuality is an essential part of Millet's sexual politics agenda. So feminism, at its heart, according to Millet, and if you don't agree with me, you better have a discussion with Kate Millet, because this is her stuff. Feminism is about promoting promiscuity, eroticism, prostitution and homosexuality with the purpose of destroying the fathers, the grandfathers, the sons, the uncles, the brothers who constitute the American family. That's why I identified her as satanic. What is a run-on from that? In New Zealand we see all this, not the American patriarch, but the New Zealand patriarch. We see this whole idea of racism is extended, sexism. In New Zealand it's also called Maorification. And the great gift of feminism to the world and to others is fatherlessness. The great gift of feminism is fatherlessness. I know. And then the result of that is also economic instability and social chaos. Boys and girls growing up, little children without a father, looking for their father. Where is my dad? And their mother is pretending that she can substitute for both male and female roles, father and mother roles. What a con. Let's go on to God's original model. God's model is family-centered. God's heavenly kingdom is based on the fundamental idea of Adam leads Eve to God, and Eve leads the children to Adam. That's it in a nutshell. The result is God's heavenly kingdom, which is a heavenly tradition and heavenly culture. I've covered that in detail in other videos. presentations all around the ideal and integrity, truth, truthfulness, honour, decency, justice. But we see that feminism is entirely anti-family, anti-God. It's anti-nature, because it's the nature of humans to be together and to love and respect each other. That's our heart. So feminism is anti every single aspect of what is honourable and decent. And this word, the patriarch, means, and I'm going to underline that, means that that men are their target for destruction. And the feminists will use any method possible to destroy a man. They'll belittle him in the marriage, they'll withhold sex or be promiscuous, they will attempt always to overrule the father and undermine his confidence, belittle him in front of others. There's a whole series of behaviours that come from these sad, miserable, unhappy women who, in Millet's case, because she had very poor family relations and didn't take responsibility for her own feelings about herself, we see it how she expressed it using her intellect, because she was quite convincing intellectually, to invent the ideology of sexual politics. So it's an ideology, and it's also a political philosophy. And it's got deeply soaked deeply into the culture in the past 50 years. I'm flagging this right now because after 50 years, feminism has had a free rein, and those its advocates, whether they be women or men who sympathise with women's rights, have had all this time to express themselves and show the rest of us just who they are and just what they do and exactly their fruits. And the simplest answer is found in fatherlessness, the attack not just on the patriarchy, but against the sons and daughters. Now what happens? We've got generations of children growing up who don't know what it is to have a father's love. There's no protection for them. So those families are easily invaded by sexual predators, misbehaviour, here we go, promiscuity, eroticism, prostitution and homosexuality are the fruit of feminism. Oh, we need homosexual rights. Sorry, all that flows way back when the feminists got in. They used it as a wedge, because the only person, the only man who can defend a family is Adam, the father, the patriarch. He would protect his wife and his children at the cost of his own life. That is his commitment. And we do not see any better model. It is the man who takes the shock. It's the man who goes out and earns the living, who helps build the house, who builds the house, who brings a stable community and cooperates with other fathers, uncles, grandfathers in the community to build stability and prosperity. This whole woman thing is completely out of control. And I'm talking entirely about feminism, and I'm not mincing my words, because when we look at the result, there's only one conclusion. It is satanic, it's anti-human. I leave this with you right now. This is food for thought. Kate Millet invited us all through her sexual politics to consider her ideology. She made it abundantly clear the steps. People, many women and some men supporting them, have gone through this process, and this has soaked into our culture. The only way we can get out of this mess is the restoration of the patriarchy, the restoration of God's family model, the restoration of Adam's position, with Eve supporting him. And I would like to suggest to you that it is Satan who put that idea into Millet's head. It wasn't indigestion or her meat-eating habits or her veganism or her poor upbringing and not having enough pocket money. No, many other women have struggled with family instability and difficulties, but they have not resorted to war against the family and war against men. So Millet is like a general, maybe a field marshal, marshalling troops of women and working them up to create hatred against their very own nature and best interests, and ultimately against their children. So think of that. Fatherlessness is the gift of feminists to their children. Is that loving? Is that the sort of thing that you really think is right? Chris Newman, Truth and Consequences. I'll leave that with you. Thank you.